We are looking at the first cabinet meeting today. Honestly, Winston Peters. Okay, I'll show you a tweet I put out today because I just clipped a headline from Newshub on my phone. I think it was from Newshub. This was the headline: "Chaos in the cabinet room. Winston Peters lashes out as Christopher Luxon tries to get down to business." And my tweet was, "Strong and stable, you say? Wonder why Winston has decided to go scorched earth." Now, I think there's some truth in that. He's doing stuff that I think are particularly strange, and it feels like he's going scorched earth, and I wonder why. I saw this Irene tagged me in one of these as well. It's Sun Tzu says, "An evil man will burn his own nation to the ground and rule over the ashes." Is that Winston Peters this time around? Is that what he's doing? I don't know. But when I show you what's going on, Luxon has got no more plausible deniability. You'll see in this story that Luxon says, "I didn't hear those comments he said yesterday." And then Winston said the comments in front of Luxon in the cabinet room. So he's got no more plausible deniability. And I said that Nicola Willis was a coward yesterday because she wouldn't just say, yes, more people will die, and yes, it's for the tax cut. She wouldn't stump up to it. Luxon shows huge cowardice today because when he gets challenged there and then, as opposed to that, particular behavior, he says nothing. Winston is cucking Luxon like you wouldn't believe at the moment. It is fascinating. And lastly, before we start, Donald Trump has made people believe that the elections were stolen. Yeah. Winston Peters is attempting to make his voters believe, if they already don't believe, that the media is bought and paid for and are biased. And I'll show you why. And then what we're going to do tonight, because Fano, we do like to get our evidence and show our receipts. He challenges Newshub. I'm going to read it to you. It's disgusting. This is what he says to Newshub: "Tell the people what you signed up to get the money." That's what he says to the media. Tell them what you signed up to get the money. In other words, what favors are you doing to get the money? So what we're going to do tonight, it'll only take 2 or 3 minutes, is we're going to go through the journalism fund, and we're going to have a look at what Newshub got out of it. And we'll get to see all together if we think they look like they've been bought off with nefarious actions or not. So a little bit of an investigation. I will move quite quickly because we're a bit later, but here we go. Here's the story of Newshub talking about Winston and talking about the first cabinet meeting. And we start off with them saying that Winston refuses to apologize.
But while Shaw was quick to apologize, Winston Peters was anything but, doubling down on his anti-media rhetoric today, this time in front of the Prime Minister. Off with a hiss, a roar, or more, an awkward silence. The coalition government getting its feet under the big cabinet desk.
We're looking forward to having a good meeting. Yep.
And straight down to its secret cabinet agenda. Plan for the meeting today?
That stays in this room.
What's said in cabinet stays in cabinet is one of the most sacred rules in the cabinet manual, aka the minister's rule book. Are you confident that every single person in this room is going to stick to the cabinet rules for the whole term?
Absolutely sure they will.
But already he's got one particular minister playing mischief.
Day one. Strong and stable. Day fucking one.
Cheap shot here.
Yesterday, just after he'd been officially sworn into the role, his Deputy Prime Minister took it upon himself to issue direction to state-owned broadcasters in response to a question about his policy about public agencies narrowing the use of Te Reo Māori.
Well, we'll see the speed at which TVNZ and RNZ, which are taxpayer-owned, understand this new message. We'll see whether these people,
they are independent
with
broadcasters.
The media and journalists, are they independent?
Independent broadcasters.
Well,
Mr.
that's
Peters.
not fascinating. I've never seen evidence of that the last 3 years.
The independence of TVNZ and RNZ from political interference is spelled out in law.
I said this last night. This is a competitor to TVNZ. This is Newshub, right? Now, on one side, you say, well, they're just covering the news, they're just giving out the facts, but they don't have to do it like this. This is Newshub, TV3, Discovery, going into bat for TVNZ and RNZ. Now, I know that we talk about being state-owned broadcasters, but TVNZ is a commercial entity. They compete with TV3 or Newshub for advertising dollars. That shows how seriously the media take this and what Winston's doing. And maybe it's because they know that if he goes after TVNZ first, there was no one left to fight for me, Joey.
Yeah.
That they're coming
thinking that. Yep.
coming them for them afterwards. We're going to keep going through this and we'll talk at the end.
Radio New Zealand Act 1995 states that no responsible minister or any other minister may give a direction to the public radio company in respect of the gathering or presentation of news or the preparation or presentation of current affairs programs. TVNZ's Act has the same clause.
Luxon, were you comfortable with the comments that Mr. Peters made about the media yesterday?
I didn't see those comments,
Bullshit.
but I'm excited to get to work with this team.
For Mr. Luxon's benefit, here's more of what he said.
You can't defend $55 million of bribery.
Okay.
So no, you cannot defend $55 million of bribery.
He's talking about the Public Interest Journalism Fund, a contestable $55 million aimed at funding projects, journalism roles and training in New Zealand.
Through COVID to try and keep media going. Like through COVID when all the advertising disappeared.
Newsrooms. The fund overall had 5 goals it had to achieve: inform and engage the public, accurate, accountable and fair coverage reflecting all sectors of the community, promote the treaty principles, reflect New Zealand's cultural diversity and encourage a robust, sustainable media. Some areas of reporting were specifically excluded from the fund, including, crucially, national political coverage. As the media were packing up to leave today, Peters went in again.
Before you ask one more question, tell the public what you signed up to get the money. This is called transparency. Okay?
Appropriate, Mr. Luxon?
Thank you.
Right, ready to go?
We'll take that as a no comment.
Wow.
I'll read it to you again.
Wow.
This is what he said. Tell the public what you signed up to get the money. Now, remember I told you this last night. The 6 o'clock news shows, they get no funding from NZ On Air, right? Both channels. They don't get any funding. So in other words, they signed up to nothing to talk to him then. But this is the thing. Trump has convinced some people that the election was stolen. He is doing his darndest to try and convince his people, unless they're not, maybe they're convinced already, that the media is bought and paid for. Now, if that was the case, doesn't that therefore mean they're bought and paid for by him? He's part of the fucking government. So what is he alleging now? That they're still bought and paid for, even though it's now under him. But anyway, you want to say anything now, too? I'm going to show what the journalism fund is and what Newshub got out of it.
Yeah, I'm just absolutely stunned that Winston's confident enough to fucking basically drag his nuts across that table right in front of Luxon. He knew he wasn't going to get stopped. Yep. Because it would be such a bad look if Luxon fucking rounded off on him. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. How does this man that was Minister of Racing, who's Shane Jones handing out money for the Regional Development Fund for racecourses, is pretty rich coming from him to talk about fucking bribes? Yep. Unbelievable.
Right. So I want us all to be clear on what the Public Interest Journalism Fund is. Right? Because I want you to have the information that when old Uncle Bob over the Christmas table says to you about it, you know something about it. So this is it. It now no longer exists, by the way. So it's no longer a thing. So Winston's now going on and on and on about something that hasn't been around for probably 6 to 12 months. So and it doesn't, you couldn't do it for political stuff, and you couldn't do it unless it was a project. So what I did is I just went and I did a Control F search and I put Newshub in there to try and find all the times Newshub is mentioned to see what Newshub got out of it. So it got a journalism manager. Oh no, that's not the decisions. The decisions are further down. So this is so you need to hear this and you can decide whether you think this is nefarious and this is like, teaching the kids to be trans, because that's what they're implying. Newshub got a Māori affairs reporter. There's one. Newshub got somebody to provide journalism training and work experience for 12 cadets from Māori and Pacific and diverse backgrounds. This is just Newshub I'm doing because he made that challenge to Newshub. Newshub Nation got funding. So the program on Sunday mornings, that got funding. Newshub, Toronto graduates Newshub, newsroom to continue their career progression and contribute unrepresented perspectives to the media industry. What else did Newshub get? Newshub got a Pacifica Affairs correspondent. These are pretty, nefarious. You can see why he'd be so concerned about being bought off at the moment. Newshub Nation got funded again in another round, so that was obviously a different year. Newshub got a cultural partnership navigator to introduce a kaupapa Māori framework to its newsroom. Newshub got a Māori Affairs reporter, a Pacifica and an Asian Affairs reporter. So these are the things that Newshub got from that fund. And they got the Hui Summer Edition, Great Southern Television for Newshub, and the Hui online platforms. So they got funding to do an online thing over summer. Oh, there's one more, I think. And this is industry development. Newshub got a program to identify and train 25 cadet Māori, Pacifica, and diverse journalists. That's it. That was all the money from that fund that Newshub got. That's it, because that's all 7 rounds. I've just read them all out. So now show me where this nefarious government bought off Newshub, and as he fucking said, what do they need to tell the public about what they signed up to get the money, Chewy? Because that's everything.
Yeah, he knows people aren't going to read that document, Pat. That's why it's important that you did. Nobody's going to go out and hunt that. There's too many words. It's on too white a page to read. It's bad on the eyes. Yeah, he will play into this conspiracy theory. And look, before he went in, I said, I wonder if he's going to drop all of these crazies that have backed him up until this point. And I think at this stage, it's pretty clear he's not. He's in it. He's in it now. He hasn't even cynically used them for their vote. He believes this. He is a cooker.
Yeah. It's a tough one, and I'm be gentle when I say this because it's about my dad. But my dad passed obviously in June, 83 years old. 83, 2023. Yeah, 83 years old, and he didn't lose his marbles altogether, but you could see it coming. You could see the beginnings of dementia. You could see the way he talked and the tone that he said and the way that he looked at things. And to be honest, the times he sometimes minimized something completely untoward, wasn't aware of what he was doing, or kind of like, I remember talking to him and the Black Caps were playing in Dunedin and I didn't know. And I was talking to him on the phone and he was like, oh, so you're going to watch the game today? Oh, who's playing? And he was quite cutting. I mean, what are you talking about? Of course you know who's playing. I'm like, Dad, I don't know who's playing. He had something in him towards the end where he thought maybe people were fucking with him. And he was like, and he actually got quite angry with me that I didn't know that the Black Caps were playing in Dunedin. And I couldn't, and it sounds really weird. And I'm not saying that, I'm not diagnosing anything, but when Winston speaks, I hear my father at 83, the tone, the intonation, the way he responds. I hear it. Someone who had mana at some stage, someone who had mana, right? No question, at some stage. And now they're a shadow of their former self, but they're trying to grab that mana again, and they're missing the mark with how they're doing it. That's what I hear, Chewy. And it's terrifying to hear in a person who at the moment looks like the pseudo prime minister of the country.
Absolutely terrifying.